Are DEXs superior to centralized exchanges?
I think so, because most of the traditional exchanges, they are not available 24/7. And in crypto, this platform is being used worldwide, every time zone, everywhere, and we just can't stop them. Onboarding. Banks spend like hundreds of bucks on checking your documents, writing everything correctly, inviting you to an office, paying salaries to office workers. But that's why we have 1.4 billion of users unbanked. Traditional finance just don't want to invest any money in these users because you would never get those money back. I mean, with DeFi, it's a little bit different.
Hey, Sohail here. Thanks for tuning in. Real quick before we begin, if you enjoyed this episode, if you learned something, please consider to follow or subscribe or share this episode. That helps us out a lot. It helps us to reach more people and to spread quality education across the space about crypto and Web3. Also, if you're part of a crypto project or represent one and you would like to come on the show or do sponsoring, please get in touch with us. And lastly, everything we talk about today is for educational purposes and no financial advice. Enjoy the show. All right, welcome to the TEACHMEDEFI podcast. Anton, co-founder of 1inch. Good to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I've read some interesting stuff about your background. Maybe you have talked about it a few times, but I kind of resonated with this because a company I work with, which is Oda AI, the founder also started coding on paper. So I found that story really interesting, and I read that you did as well. So I would just like to hear how did that start? Why was there a necessity, or what brought you to doing it on paper first? And tell me about it.
Yeah, the thing is that it was so many years ago that computers were not everywhere yet. And as far as I remember, I had no computer at home in the very beginning. I was like 12, 13 years old. I had no computer. I think I got my very first computer a little bit later, maybe 14 or something. By the way, it was very slow computer. My friends had some Pentiums at that time, maybe Pentium 3, Pentium 4, or something like that. Mine was slower. It was Intel Celeron, and I think having slower computer at this age probably one of the reasons why I became a software engineer and not a gamer, because I was not able to play like top tier games at that time.
So were you by necessity focused on like efficiency and stuff because your computer couldn't do some things?
Yeah, true. I mean, even if you develop some like software, you would notice that it's working for some like few minutes, 1 hour. It depends on your computational task. Yeah, and you will optimize for performance, or probably. But yeah, it depends on whatever you're building. As far as I remember, I was building like different useful software for like computations. I even like wrote custom software to find approximations. Like if you have like a final answer for some geometry task, you want it to be usually represented as something like numbers multiplied by square root of some number, or like some number and power of some number. And I remember I wrote some program to just enumerate. It was computing everything for trigonometry, but at the end it was also trying to get result in the form of like numbers. You can't give number like 5.67. This would not work. You need to do like to give like exact answer, like numbers in their powers divided somehow on each other, or like anything, any representation. And I remember I wrote software to help with that, to just make it faster.
Gotcha, interesting. It sounds like a bit like early signs of what you'll work on later with 1inch, perhaps. Well, actually, I read that at a hackathon with Vitalik, you wrote what you called probably the most complicated smart contract in your career. So, well, what the hell? I thought you're focused on efficiency. So, tell me more about this.
Yeah, that's really controversial thing. That my very first smart contract I wrote in 2017 on hackathon in Kazan in Russia. There was Vitalik, and I wrote very first smart contracts. I just read the Solidity documentation to understand how it should work, And yeah, I spent like 24 hours or maybe more, I'm not sure, writing this code. And now I think it's probably one of the most complex implementations I ever built, because I re-implemented ECDSA, elliptic curve, which is SECP 256K1. It's elliptic curve for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the thing I did there, it was like a smart contract, which was a marketplace where anyone can place tasks. Those tasks were tasks for generating vanity Bitcoin addresses. Like if you want a vanity Bitcoin address, like if you want address starting with one Anton, for example, this would require some brute forcing, and someone can perform this, and they can provide necessary proofs to program to get their reward if they will find this address for you. This sounds like a little bit strange that someone will find address for you. They will probably know your private key. This should not happen, yeah? But there is an actually safe way to do this. There is a split key address generation scheme where you have some private key which is yours, and you publish public key of this key. And when someone else is enumerating addresses, they came up to random private keys, compute public keys, and then they add their public key to your public key. And then they get public key, which they try to make vanity. They enumerate a lot. And at the end, whenever they are ready and they found some cool address, they bring like private key to smart contract. Smart contract convert private key to public key at the drive. Public key is being added to your task public key, then you get like a final public key, and hash of this final public key is a Bitcoin address, which is cool, one Anton. It can check this, make payment, and what I have to do, I can get this private key from smart contract, and I have to add it to my task private key. So no one saw this private key, which I only publish it public key. But miner found private key, which I should add to my private key to have final private key from this address. So yeah, there is a scheme which helps you to outsource those brute forcing of addresses. So you could ask your friend or someone else, completely unknown person, via this smart contract. You could like share some rewards for some computations, and someone will spend energy on on this. This could be like a, for you it could be like, if you're looking for something with like 8 to 10 symbols in Bitcoin, it's probably hours or days of work of your laptop, or maybe months. And it makes no sense to do it on your own while you can just pay, and someone on the market who is more efficient than you and who is more proficient in this kind of things, they will offer you this. You will be able to buy this within like hours or minutes or days. Also, it depends also.
That's really cool. It also sounds like it's something that finds its way in a lot of different protocols. Essentially, you're paying for compute for solving a specific problem.
Yeah. Actually, there was a very similar thing related to profanity. There was a program for generating vanity addresses for Ethereum, and we found an issue with it. We found bug, like critical vulnerability, that randomness of this program was not cool enough. And it was announced that it's unsafe to use it because anyone can recover your private key based on your public key. And what we did at the end, we also forked this software, Profanity. We called it Profanity 2, and we changed this software to work a little bit different manner. That's what we called safety by design. So now it's you don't need to check code of this program to make sure it works safe for you. Sounds a bit strange, but the thing is that this program is no more generating new keys. You have to provide some public key as input argument, and this program will only find private key, which is kinda offset to your private key. So randomness of this program is no more an issue. So it could be non-random at all. It makes no sense. I mean, since it's not looking for a private key, it's looking for private key offset without seeing original private key. So yeah, it's much more safe scheme now to use. and it's also related to this split key address generation.
Right. Okay. So how did you go from there to more DeFi focused stuff and to 1inch, I guess?
Yeah, in my career, I saw like different platforms, different architectures. Like it was like really low-level stuff written for different operating systems. I had experience writing software for Windows, for Macs, for Linux, for iPhones. Yeah, it was pretty like different things I was working on. And at some point when I moved to blockchain development, I saw that almost everything what I can find there is implemented. It could be implemented better. Like in 2017 and 2018, only like few ideas were implemented, and whenever you look at any of them, you could see like a lot of points to improve it, to contribute, to make like new features, to have like a better vision or anything like that. And yeah, that's very cool when you find area when you can contribute a lot, where you can add something. And in 2017, 2018, people just understood how to create tokens and how to exchange tokens. I think there were no money markets at this time, even money markets, no aggregators. Yeah, I'm not sure that MEV was like really an issue at that moment. Maybe not really. I remember that this front running bots, automatic front runners, they appeared like 2-3 years later. So it was different time, and I was mostly curious by like possibilities of this platform. Like you like working on really like interactive protocols within space with guarantees. And yeah, I really like how it's being designed on architecture level. If we would compare like different virtual machines from different blockchains, I think EVM is one of the most superior. And its primitives like MSG sender, which is available on cross protocol calls, and which is usually the main source of trust, how you make decisions, if program is capable to do this, or like any rules management, any ownership thing is built on top of MSG sender concept. And I think it's pretty clear and easy to understand natively. But not all blockchains can offer the same. The different blockchains have like absolutely different virtual machines, and their possibilities are like really different. This is usually a trade-off. Some virtual machines and blockchains, they try to offer some things like sharding, for example, in Ton. That's why their smart contracts are working differently. They do not have enough storage for this thing, and different. For example, in Solana virtual machine, you don't have access to MSG sender. You have to write programs differently. You have to rely on different things like accounts, unlocks, and other things. Yeah, I mean, I also like that most of the things built on chain, they're have publicly available source code, even if it's not like open source license like MIT or GPL or anything else. You can read it and inspire and understand risks on your own. Sometimes, most of the times, reading protocol code is much easier to understand how this project works comparing to reading documentation, website, or anything else. Usually smart contracts are like telling for themselves, but it's not like every rule have exceptions. You could meet code base with like few thousand lines of code or tens of thousands lines of code, and it will be again super hard to understand what's going on there.
What do you think about like using AI to understand code bases which are huge more quickly? I saw, I think Karpathy talked about how you should have just like the whole code base in one file in your GitHub, so it's easier for LLMs to kind of go through them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there are some things which could make life easier for LLMs, but I hope we will try to make and keep life easier for developers.
Right.
And LLMs are not like the first class passenger here. So yeah, but I like AI topic, and I like how AIs evolve, because like they actually dramatically changed how software engineering is working. Like few months ago, like 2-3 months ago, these new models from uh, Anthropic and Google, they like dramatically changed everything. Those models are capable to write code as a middle engineer. There are like different grades, like a junior, middle, senior, architect, like different things. And yeah, well, from what I see, models like Opus 4, 4.1, or uh, this Gemini Pro 2.5 or something like this. Those models are actually capable to solve tasks in the same manner as developers do this. For example, when I ask to change something in terms of protocol, when I develop new protocols or work on next versions of existing protocols, whenever I want to change something like on a higher level, like if I want to replace in this struct prices with amounts, because they're like, I don't want to lose precision on prices with 18 decimals. I want to have like both amounts here. This requires a lot of changes through the code base. It's like everywhere those fields are being used. It's some tests where they are being used. And when I ask those model via C-line plugin in VS Code, for example, to do something, what they can do, they are actually reading the code, understanding how it works. They're changing some code. They're trying to compile it to run tests. They are trying to fix tests, and at some point they see that something is not working correctly for them, so they're adding some they're running traces for those tests to understand what actually happened inside the transaction. And if this is not enough, model is adding console logs in the protocol code, running these tests again, and yeah, at the end it's finding an issue in code or issue in test and removing all those comments and fixing everything. But that's actually the process what software engineers are doing. They're trying to fix tests, they're adding logs, they're reading logs, reading traces, understanding, fixing tests or either code if it's broken. And impressive that models can do this already, and they can do this much faster than real people do this. I mean, changing like things like that would require like 3, 5, 10 minutes. It depends on number of tests, on your code base size, but it's usually faster than what you can deliver. Like sometimes I can do tasks which are like 1-2 hours long. I can do them like within few minutes. Or sometimes I can do tasks I never imagined doing. Like we have, for example, Solidity Utils library, which is pretty cool and pretty huge library with a lot of functionality, which is heavily audited, and we use it on our own in our protocols. It's like common parts of our code base collected in one place, and which are like highly reusable for everyone. And yeah, we built it like few years ago. It's existing for more than 5 years, and most of the tests they're written on hardhat. But we are now going to use Foundry in new projects, and yeah, we want to rewrite tests, but it's like 150 tests. Yeah, rewriting 150 tests would like, it's like maybe 1 or 2 days of hard work for an engineer. And AI was able to rewrite tests in like 1 hour or something like that. Because to rewrite tests in different programming language, you have to write it from JavaScript to Solidity and using some magic tricks from Foundry. But the thing is that you don't need to be like architect level understanding. You just need to read every test, rewrite it in a different language, fix some compilation bugs, fix some issues to make it work. But yeah, I mean, even junior or middle developer can do this, but this will take a lot of time, and AI can do this much faster. And I think that in 1, 2, 3 years it will again change everything. And yeah, I expect to see senior level and architect level, yeah, when it will be able automatically catch up ideas. Now when I develop protocols, I have to convince sometimes AI how exactly it is working. I ask it to check architecture of this protocol to understand how these things are working with each other. Like I highlight some primitives like factories, Merkle trees, like proofs, or like high level understanding, because I don't see that models are like picking everything automatically. Not really. They would not pick it up. You need to explain a little bit. And yeah, but I hope models will be able to get more from code base on its own. Like I wish it to read code and understand deeply on its own. And yeah, for sure, probably you still need to instruct models to like to have like a special values in your code. If you're writing like a protocol stuff on Solidity, it's like one values. If you're writing website, it's different code values, like in terms of how compact it should be, or what kind of optimizations you should have. Like on EVM, for example, storage is the most expensive thing, and you should optimize for less using storage, for example, obviously, especially if they would raise gas prices for storage in like 100 times as they're trying to do. So the idea is to increase block gas limit 100 times and the storage operations 100 times. Then we would not see storage expanding, but we would see all other operations are dramatically cheaper than storage operations. So yeah, that's the idea.
Right. That's a lot to unpack. I guess sort of you also kind of mentioned like tasks where you kind of know the solution, like problems where you kind of know where you need to go. Like for example, the grunt work of changing one thing across the whole code base and stuff, or writing tests, which I assume is also not dependent totally on creating new knowledge or designing something completely novel or solving a problem for the first time. I'm wondering, because you work on these deep tech problems, you design protocols and stuff which is novel. You think about problems to solve them in a novel fashion. Are you seeing AI being useful there, or is that, is that beyond what the type of AI that we have now can do?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on very novel things in past month, and yeah, I see that I can convince AI why it's cool, or like what features are important on this new protocol. It's like, yeah, it's reading, understanding this, and it's congratulating me. Oh yeah, that's cool idea. I like how this works and how this matches this. But if I'm not highlighting this explicitly, new chat with like a new context, they do not pick it up immediately. They like still do some strange things, even if like I have factory of different smart contracts like proxies or something, and it's still trying to add to those proxies mappings for like with a maker address key or like user address key. But you have clone per user, you don't need any mapping here, like why? And I'm asking these questions. So sometimes I don't like tell what exactly to do. I ask like, why you did this? Like strange. And yeah, it was the same. They come like apologize that it was mistake. They have to fix it. Yeah, I mean it's smart. It can do some things like writing tests for you, or like if you wrote some protocol and you want to try it out if it's working or not, like new tests from scratch. You don't have any new tests at all. It can write tests much faster than you can do. I mean, for you using like complex interaction with digital signatures, writing this test is like half an hour or maybe 1 hour in the worst case. AI LLMs, they can do this like in 5-10 minutes. That's huge increase in speed. I mean, you can move much faster as architect
Yeah.
who is like.
So like a productivity tool type thing. That's how I see it as well. But like you said, there's no understanding in a way. Like it confirms you sometimes. I notice it confirms my thoughts, and then later on I notice, hey, no, actually, this is not correct, or I have a better way of doing this. But this process is not happening there. But let's go to 1inch a bit. So I think a lot of people still don't understand like exchanges in a way, and how aggregation works. Can you share a bit about that and what 1inch does?
Yeah, I would start with DEXs because it's actually a very interesting topic. There are like a lot of trading bots on any exchange. They just trade, they make requests, and they trade on Binance, on anywhere. The DEXs on blockchain works much more different because this is programs which are being executed in highly accessible environment. And the most important part of those DEXs is like 100% availability. This means that they're always available when chain is alive. And this also means that some of those DEXs, like most of those DEXs, they're working in a smart way with smart formulas. They try to compete with each other. And the thing is that they try to uh, they do not have any external source of funds. There are kind of DEXs which called AMMs, and the main difference with any other exchange or bot that they do not have any external source of the price. They are always able and ready to trade in any direction with you, and their price is changing based on those trades. And when you're trying to buy some asset, if those asset is being bought more, the price is skyrocketing, and you will not be able to buy it. This is how Uniswap v2 v1 works, and this is like infinite range liquidity, and formula is pretty simple. It's trying to keep multiplication of its balances constant, or like a little bit above constant, to earn something. And there are a lot of different other DEXs which work similar to like order books, like limit order protocols. There are like a lot of hybrid solutions. Yeah, and the main distinction from centralized solutions is autonomy. That those programs are being located in environment, in this virtual machine, which is highly accessible by the market, by anyone. And this also means that those exchanges, they're uh, forming price on its own, and whenever their price is not in sync with any external resource, it can be arbitraged. So actually, what we saw originally in 2018, 2017, we saw like first projects appeared. Like the very first probably was Banker, who came up to AMM concept. Then I remember it was a Kyber, Uniswap, and yeah, there were many more of them. And in the past 5 years, we saw hundreds of different projects. Even on mainnet, we have more than 100 integrations in 1inch. If we would count all chains, it's like hundreds of different projects who were competing with each other for liquidity, for the volumes. They are like using different formulas, different approaches, some of them borrowing some funds in money market to have like higher liquidity. Yeah, it's like completely different things, different approaches to capital efficiency. And I think that aggregators is probably one of the things which let most of the projects survive, because if they would compete for users for trades directly with their user interfaces, it's super hard. I'm not sure that we're living in a future where there are like hundreds of DEXs which are actually being used by users. We're not there yet. We are somewhere where we have like 5 to 10 different interfaces, like mainstream interfaces being used by the industry. And for sure, we have long tail of other interfaces being used less. And yeah, I think that the core thing here is that uh, aggregators, they allowed those competing projects to get fair volumes, based on their liquidity, their formulas. For sure, you can't compete infinite range liquidity with a compact range liquidity. It's like volumes, liquidity amount could be the same, but those one with concentrated liquidity will get more volumes because it's offering better prices in some specific range, for example. And I think aggregators gave like a huge boost to these projects to survive, because now you can build any projects. you only have to take care about liquidity providers. But if your project is somehow achieving better efficiency than others, you would get a nice yield, and liquidity providers will find you at some point. With for sure, they are more taking care of audits and other things. I mean, 1inch is not taking care of audits of projects being integrated because users are being protected. We are making swaps via own smart contract, which is checking everything. And even if those smart contracts of those protocols are being hacked or something like this, in the worst case, transaction of user will fail. In best case scenario, will even not show there. So it's not risky for the user, for example.
Interesting. So are DEXs superior to centralized exchanges?
I think so, because yeah, there are like a few different like differences. Like one of them is that they're always available 24/7. Centralized exchanges, yeah, I mean like crypto centralized exchanges, which appeared in the past few years, they are also usually available 24/7. But yeah, most of the exchanges, like traditional exchanges, no, they are not available 24/7. And in crypto, we just can't stop them. Because yeah, it's like this platform is being used worldwide with every time zone everywhere, and yeah, we don't have any maintenance here. So yeah, that's the hugest difference. And also one of the things which I like the most about DeFi is onboarding, because to onboard to any banks spend like hundreds of bucks on your KYC, on checking your documents, writing everything correctly, inviting you to an office, or paying salaries to office workers. They are like usually spending like hundreds of dollars per user. Online banks are spending like around 50 bucks per user or something like that. But that's why we have 1.4 billion of users unbanked. Most of them are in Africa, but yeah, anyway, uh traditional finance just don't want to invest any money in these users, because you would never get those money back. I mean, if you would paid 200 bucks to onboard someone from European Union, it's one case, and if you are paying 200 bucks to onboard someone from Africa, you would probably never earn 200 bucks back on this deal. And with uh, with DeFi, it's a little bit different. It's originally it's cheaper, but it may cost more for end users sometimes. I mean, we could probably count education here and hacks as onboarding. I mean, you still have hacks on traditional banks, on traditional exchanges, but I mean, yeah, risks are different and you have to press them in. But in general, I think it's much cheaper because people can onboard themselves with just mobile phone with internet connection. They can literally exchange their chicken for like few dollars, and then they can get yield in an hour, or they can use these dollars to pay worldwide for anything they want. They could buy something online, or they could order something. So I think DeFi is just superior here. And if traditional finance was not able to onboard this 1.4 billions of people till this year, I mean, they will never do this. I think we will see most of these people onboarded into DeFi in 5-10 years.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that sort of like the timeline that you're looking at? Because I was going to ask provocatively why we don't have more adoption yet, right?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
We will have.
Okay. Okay. Good. And what's the adoption, kind of like the usage habits? What do they look like? Like, are people using aggregators mostly now and not going straight to the decentralized exchange? What does it look like? What are you seeing? Because I'm not on top of that.
Yeah, we see that there are a lot of different solutions on the market, a lot of aggregators and a lot of protocols and meta aggregators which aggregate aggregators. And there are like a different technologies which we can't compare to each other. I mean, for example, if we are comparing projects by volumes, for example, there are different volumes. There are volumes which we call user volumes. That's when someone is wanting to swap something, they're making some transaction or they do digital signature with intent or something like this. And then their money are being swapped somehow. And these swaps could happen like not one time. I mean, your USDC could be swapped to USDT and then to Ether if it makes sense. And this would produce more volumes. In terms of protocol volumes, they could be much higher than user volumes, because if user is swapping $1,000 and part of this amount went through multiple steps being swapped into different assets, this means that protocol volumes are higher, but user volumes you have to count separately. And there are also cross-chain volumes, and yeah, those things are like different. And we see that we still dominating in aggregating user volumes. So we get most of the share of user volumes. Some of those volumes are being got through our products like our D app or our wallet. But some of the volumes are being redirected by our partners and API integrators, like different wallets, different projects, meta aggregators like MetaMask, DeFi Llama, Trust Wallet, and many other, like Coinbase Wallet and others. So yeah, whenever you are swapping some assets in some application, there is a high chance that 1inch is working under the hood to provide you better rates. Yeah, the thing with aggregation is mostly about minimizing your impact when you touch some chain. So after your if you have like a good aggregation after your transaction or after your swap, there is no any room for on-chain backrunning. So if you are producing some backrunning opportunity, this means that you are losing money to someone who will backrun you to get this money back. So you would better you should better aggregate your trades to make like less impact on traders and arbitrage traders. So yeah, I can say that originally when 1inch appeared, the idea was like super simple. Like how there was like 3-4 DEXs at that time, and the idea was simple that the more you swap on any DEX, the less exchange rate you would get. That's simple, because you would get the first liquidity is the most the better rates, and the more you get, the worse rate you are buying.
Yeah, because you're putting more of the asset into the liquidity pool, so it's more abundant and its price goes down, right?
Yeah, and we came up to idea that if we would split user volume among multiple pools, we would get better rate in each of them, and this would improve exchange rate in general. This was the very first idea we came up right on the hackathon, and that's what we built, and it was working for first year probably. And yeah, we were just adding more protocols, more pools, more things, more features, better distribution. And after 1 year, as far as I remember, we came up to a next generation protocol. It's more like a graph where nodes of this graph are different assets and edges are different exchanges. And you have like a graph with multi edges, like multi exchanges. And you have to find something which could be called like a multi path. It's like
It's an optimization problem. You're trying to find the best route, right? So the best route, and it's two things. It's which exchange, which asset.
yeah, it's a little bit like max flow problem from math. Yeah, so you're looking not for one road, it's like multi-road, because you can go through multiple ways, and you should optimize for best exchange rate, and you should not also fall into some arbitrage roads, because some arbitrage traders could front run you and then your trade will fail. So yeah, this is also one of the risks.
But that's a lot of options, right? That in terms of routing, then does that become like costly on chain for you to do the routing algorithm computation to find the best route? Because that the idea is that it's cheap, right?
Not really. We do all the computations off chain. So on chain, we only pass our road, like our final road. We pass it to our router, and there is a separate smart contract which we call executor, which is being able to pass liquidity through different like roads, and it can split it efficiently, and it also handles amounts because whenever we are like aiming to do some swap, we know some numbers how swaps on those pools would like reach what amounts you would get. But the thing is that once your transactions will be mined, numbers could be a little bit different. Someone could front run you a little bit for like $5, and every amount on every pool will be different now. And your smart contract, which is executing those multiple trades in special order, they have to make sure those amounts are being like dynamic, not static. And yeah, that's what our executor is actually doing. And yeah, a few years ago we rewrote it, and I think now it's one of the most efficient on the market in terms of uh like a exchange flow execution without using any intermediary helpers during the swap, like balance offs or something. Most of the protocols, they're actually returning amount of assets you would get after the swap. You just to have to take it and handle correctly those amounts to use them. Do not call balance offs every time, because this would spend thousands of gas on each call for nothing.
How do we get DeFi to the masses, right? Like in a way, in my opinion, you as an aggregator, probably strategically, I mean, I assume one of the benefits is you're closer to the user, right? So you're the interface to interact with. You route all the volumes to the different decentralized exchanges. So, and then I've seen things that sound to me like a bit like vertical integration that you're doing. Like you have a 1inch wallet, which has like multiple functionalities there and multi-chain capabilities. Then you have the 1inch card, which I think is a like a card which you can use in your daily life to do payments. So how do you view getting DeFi to the masses, and then how does that reflect itself in your strategy here with the different things you're doing?
Yeah, we are actually working on a solution for institutional players. Originally, we were working on a thing which we were thinking it will be like a separate user interface. But the more time we're working on this, we're realizing that actually it should be the same interface, but it should be like institutional grade ready. I mean, institutionals should use a different setup, but it will be the same interface. I mean, they could use multi-sig solutions with hardware wallets. It could be combination of different measures, MPC or whatever they want to have, but they probably don't need to have any separate user interface, because DeFi is already that cool that it's suitable for everyone. And yeah, that's what we want to have. We want to help institutionals to use DeFi instead of building DeFi for institutionals, because it makes much less sense from our point of view.
And what does that look like then? What do you have to do to help institutions use DeFi?
Yeah, actually, it's about helping them with infrastructure like multi-sig solution, hardware wallets, MPCs, or any other things. It's just guiding them in the right direction to use the right technologies to achieve some specific behavior they are required to maintain. Yeah.
What about 1inch card then? What is that, and how does that fit into everything?
It's actually a white label product, so yeah, we only sell it to our users as a product, but we do not like perform any technical thing here related to banking or anything else. We are actually decided that 1inch should be focused on delivering self-custody protocols, because it makes much more sense than anything else, because we see whole evolution of crypto as evolution of possibilities of self-custody. Because originally when Bitcoin appeared, it was letting self-custody transfers and self-custody ownership. You can own assets and you can transfer them self-custody. That was the only available things which you could do. But nowadays, with the platforms like Ethereum and many other smart contract platforms, you are able to do much more things. You could borrow, you could have like over collateralized loans, you could do like trading. Actually, you was not able to trade on Bitcoin because there is only Bitcoin there, only one asset. But on those smart contract platforms, you have different tokens, you have exchanges, you could have money markets, you could have any other DeFi functionality you wish. And yeah, I see this as evolution of features and abilities of self-custody.
But have times changed? Are you seeing like, is there actually a significant change in the behavior of institutions and adoption of crypto now? Like, it's always been a meme in a way, right? Like, institutions are coming. So is something different now? Like, you have a much better grasp on that than I have. So I'm curious.
I think they're trying to understand what Ethereum is and why they need Ethereum. And I know the answer, I think. Actually, I think that crypto in 2025 is not just about technologies and protocols, it's also about liquidity hub. Crypto is huge liquidity hub where we have like billions of dollars in DEXs, which is actually trading liquidity. And this thing is similar to other markets, like American market, European market, Asian market. This is like a different liquidity hubs. And moving money among these liquidity hubs is something which takes a lot of time and fees. And crypto is one more liquidity hub, which is global.
That's
when we will see those markets are building like a bridges, it's not bridges which we have bridges in DeFi, it's different bridges. I mean, it's bridges for capital, where capital can move efficiently between some jurisdiction, like some exchange, traditional market, and crypto. Whenever we'll see some of them are having better highways to crypto, we will see them have better highways to each other through the crypto.
Okay, so even in their own system of settlements, they might use crypto as a bridge in the middle.
Yeah, and it's also a huge liquidity hub. Being presented in this liquidity hub for anything is a good idea. I mean, if you are arbitrage trader, that's definitely for you. If you're just entity who working with assets, yeah. I mean, probably some of them will initially start working with crypto via some providers, but at the end, some of them will do integrations on their own with their technical department. Some will order with subcontractors. I mean, this industry will see a lot of different approaches. Some of them will be beneficial in short term, some of them will be beneficial in long term. But I think in general, DeFi is in very advantageous position to any other market. And the thing that it's still growing exponentially in terms of liquidity amounts. I mean, in 5 years, we could have like a trillions of liquidity. That's like a super liquid market, I would say.
How do you feel about stablecoins?
Yeah, I think stablecoins is like one of the windows to traditional finance, because it's actually traditional finance being bridged. But if we're talking about stable tokens which are stable to fiat currencies, because we can talk about stable tokens of Bitcoin on Ethereum. It's also stable token actually. But yeah, usually stable tokens is about USD or Euro or gold or anything like that. Yeah, I think that's one of the things which could improve money flow among those entities, because yeah, for sure, if you have USDC on one chain and you can use this USDC solution to bridge among chains, because it's like the same risk as owning this USDC. Yeah, for sure, it's like stable tokens question is very controversial. I mean, there are some upsides and downsides. Some people are not happy that they have block function and can blacklist any wallet. for sure it sounds bad that someone can blacklist you, but yeah, I think that the core point of DeFi, why I like it so much, it's about financial freedom. The thing is that financial freedom can't prevent people and protocols to play with self restrictions. So it's just some tokens can have blacklists, some token can have no blacklists, and yeah, those tokens which will find better market fit, they will win.
Good point. Are there some things you're doing with institutions at the moment which you can share to give it some concrete things?
Not yet. I mean, I'm not directly involved in this because I'm mostly dedicating my time to protocol engineering. I mean, I spent more than 20 years on software engineering. That's why I'm trying to focus on this thing. For sure, I'm like up to date with what's happening, but I do not dedicate much of my time into like non-technical questions.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought so. So, what's next, or what's next for 1inch? You know, like you see, it's quite a dynamic market in many ways. You have AI, you have AI agents, you have institutions adopting crypto more. Things are moving in general quite fast. So, what are you kind of looking ahead? How do you see 1inch evolving over the next 12 to 24 months? What's very noteworthy from your point of view?
Yeah, I should with I think we should focus on DeFi protocols innovations more. We were working on different things in the past like 5-7 years. It was like different protocols, different products based on those protocols, different products like wallet, like web products, different things. I think we should dedicate more time for protocols and yeah, for example, like you see that NFTs are like dead. I mean, every narrative is dying, and we had DeFi narrative, we had NFT narrative, we had memes narrative. I think it's already dead. I think that we could have one more DeFi narrative if we will see new inventions in DeFi, and uh, I'm not sure how cyclical are those narratives. We will see. Will we see NFT narrative again or memes narrative again? I'm not sure, but I think we will see DeFi narratives more because we will see like next generation protocols. I think we could see something cool once per few years in DeFi. Yeah, maybe we will see like a wave of projects inspired by something new.
Right. Who do you compete with? Like, who do you see as competitors? Is Uniswap a competitor? Are other aggregators a competitor? Are centralized exchanges a competitor?
Competition is thing which is like a little bit difficult here. I mean, like there are like things which we could call like direct competitors. The projects which are calling themselves DEX aggregators are probably direct competitors because they're shipping the same things. But actually, in terms of protocols, it's not like that because we are working in different directions. I mean, we have some set of our protocols, other projects, companies, they have their set of protocols and they're evolving around their set of protocols, and we're doing the same. For example, Uniswap was never like a direct competitor because we were just always aggregating Uniswap pools for our users. But in terms of users, we could see Uniswap as a competitor because users come to Uniswap to trade, users come to 1inch to trade. That's competitor. In terms of product, like a swap product, that's competitor. In terms of protocol, Uniswap was never competitor because they have liquidity protocol. We had liquidity protocol at some point in time. Now it's deprecated. It was called Uniswap. It was like with some cool innovative scheme to earn more from arbitrage traders. But yeah, main 1inch protocols were never competing directly with the Uniswap. But in terms of product, like swap product, they are a competitor. And yeah, I think we saw most of the competitors like growing, and we tried to maintain our share more than half to be like a leading DEX. It was hard, but it's still working. And yeah, and there are also meta aggregators. They aggregate aggregators, like MetaMask is doing this, for example.
This feels like Inception, because you could play that into infinity, no? Like, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
True. We could also try to aggregate this on our front end, but it maybe makes less sense for us. I think we will try to focus on protocol stuff to ship something cool. No, that's actually what I enjoy the most in DeFi.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what it will be. Thank you so much, Anton. This was really interesting. I've never really talked about DEX aggregation much. I was always aware of 1inch, so this was cool to get a bit of a more deep dive. Yeah. Anything else? If people want to check it out more or something like that, where should they go?
Yeah, I think they should start with the blog posts. We have really cool blog posts explaining what products we have, what technologies we are using, how we're using, and why we're using them. There are like a bunch of my articles about different stuff, ideas about crypto as liquidity hub, ideas about different protocols. You can find everything there. For sure, you should follow our Twitter. I think crypto Twitter is one of the most important sources, and it's like a settlement layer for communication in crypto. I think our very first users came from Twitter because we were constantly posting to Twitter like updates multiple times a day, like we ship a new feature, edit button, edit something, and very first users came from crypto Twitter. So yeah, crypto Twitter is a great resource.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Anton.
Thank you.